Hello, and welcome to What Moves Us, the podcast where we ask what moves us, or more accurately, what's going to move us in future.
We look at debates, themes, and decisions of the minute that will impact on the way we get about in the future.
Hello, everybody. We are doing a special podcast for Rail Innovation Group today, which is all based around the fact that we've been at InnoTrans 2024 in Berlin. Very exciting meeting our members there and supporting them with their endeavours at what is a massive trade fair. For those that don't know, it's the world's leading trade fair for transport technology, and this year it was bigger and busier than certainly it was last year. It's my second time at InnoTrans. The others are been many more times than me, but it's just a place really where there's every kind of rail advancement, sustainable mobility solutions, global innovators, you name it, showcasing sort of their cutting edge developments and how they're transforming what they do in rail and transport. So it's an exciting place to go if you're a rail transport nerd, like obviously we are. So this podcast, we're going to just be talking about our experiences at in Berlin this week. Obviously, lots of our members were there, and it's a very useful place for them to be. It's a platform to network, to sort of showcase their innovation, some not sort of local exposure, but global exposure. It's got a really big international audience at InnoTrans, so there's industry leaders and clients and investors from all over the world wandering around. So an opportunity to talk to them, showcase their innovations, network obviously with people from right across the transport and technology spectrum, which is great. Obviously access to new markets as well. Obviously lots of people can go around and see where their where their products or services might actually fit into other markets that they haven't thought of. So looking, see what international demand is like, I suppose, in different areas of the industry, and then give them a chance to sort of tailor their offerings and think about, taking over the world, basically, which is obviously what we would encourage all of our RIG members to do. So yeah, really exciting week for everyone in transport. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. I'm passing over to one of you now. That's why I went quiet. Sorry, we're all in different places. So if this is slightly disjointed podcast, we can only apologise.
You were meant to introduce us.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. I thought you were going to just dive in and introduce yourselves.
Have you introduced yourself?
Okay, I'll introduce myself. I'm Deb from the Rail Innovation Group, and I'm here on this podcast with Liam and with Johannah. Liam's somewhere at the seaside in the UK.
I'm outside Southampton Station next to the taxi rank.
Okay, next to the taxi rank. And Johannah is still in Berlin, so she's still got she can just tell us more about what's happening on I think it's the last day of the fair.
Yeah, I am still in Berlin. I'm actually at the station. I've been in InnoTrans again this morning, finishing up with some final meetings. But after the last 3 days where it was hugely busy, a lot quieter today, a lot less people around, and I think we're all talking about how tired we are just after 3 days of meeting people, doing deals, finding out new things, and also lots of receptions and things to attend to as well. So it's sort of like you're doing 14, 16-hour days with not much sleep. And there's quite a lot of people going. You say about you going on the flights yesterday. There's quite a lot of people going on late flights out of here tonight. So I expect to be sort of like carrying on some of that networking as I leave tonight as well.
That's actually, sorry, I'm going to keep going on mute and off mute, because every time someone gets in a taxi, 7 taxis then turn on their engines, move forward 10 meters and then turn off their engines, which is delightfully eco-friendly. Yes, what you're saying about the airport, well, it's funny because obviously I think Deb particularly would just read her book, and every time someone walked past the gate, he stopped and had a chat with her. And at some point I just kept pointing that she was sat there trying to be quiet. More
Yeah.
people come up and network.
I know. I was a bit talked out, so I thought I'd just sit in the corner and just read my book at the gate. And then, of course, there was no chance to that, so lots of people there. It's good actually, because I got a chance to speak to one of my colleagues at Sistra, who I did manage to catch up with at the actual conference. That was nice. We ended up being on the same flight. Yes.
So yeah, apart from all the networking and everything else, what would you say has been positive about it? I would say that there seems to be a better image around because obviously the UK traders, the sort of UK is great banners everywhere else, all across the UK pavilion. And I would say that there seems to be a better image and a better feeling about Great Britain this time.
Yeah, it was interesting that because I was because after you went last night, I went to the Railway Gazette YRP event, which is obviously always a highlight of the InnoTrans week. And I was talking to a few people there, and I think although people were feeling more positive and better about things overall in politics, I think people were disappointed that there'd been no government, ministerial presence from the UK. Because I was talking to somebody saying that the transport minister for Germany had visited the Railway Gazette stand, and I think had been interviewed for publication. So I think there'd been a bit of a disappointment that we'd just got video messages rather than the usual presence that we would get. And I think because there has been so much change and there was a lot more change expected in UK rail, it would have been nice to have seen a bit more support, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I suppose it kind of rolled. It was slightly a clash with with Labour's conference this year, wasn't it? Which probably, I mean, I'm being generous if I say that had anything to do with it, really, I suppose. But yeah, I agree. I think it would have been really useful to have. Although there were obviously, there was a DFT presence, a senior DFT presence at the reception that we went to at the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to say ministry at the
Embassy.
Sorry, don't know why that word couldn't come into my mind. But yeah, I agree, Johannah. It would have been that's what's required, I think, for the the sort of confidence that everybody is wanting to build in the industry, given the kind of ups and downs of the last few years in rail in the UK. I think it would have been good to and also to show the kind of like the new government are talking a lot about digitalization, automation, the importance of technology, the importance of AI, and I think it would have been a really good opportunity to show how much of that there is in transport, how important that strategic investment
I agree.
is.
I mean, because we know, I mean, like the officials at the DFT and the Department for International Trade, and that they have you're right, they do have a really good presence, and they were really good at promoting UK business and saying we're here to support you. But I think as much as anything, it's nice to have that from from a leadership point of view, isn't it, to show to the big businesses, but also to the startup community that we represent, that we are here and things are going to change, and we are going to be looking to that investment and supporting you more as businesses to do that.
Yes, agreed. Because that was one of the DFT speeches at the embassy was all about the importance of international investment into our rail infrastructure and everything, and that will only be achieved if people start to feel more confident about the UK's ability to be to deliver a stable sort of pipeline of work and have a sort of long-term plan really for rail investment. So yeah, I agree.
And just into a segue into that as well, one of the things that was kind of a highlight for me as well, which was on the same day, and I think kind of linked to all of this as well, is when we went to the presentation at the Atkins Realis stand by Bonnie Price, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Young Rail Professionals, and about the level of retraining that's going to have to happen in our industry over the next 5 years, just because of the digitalization, as you say. I mean, because what was the figure? Was it something like 40,000 people need to be retrained or something? Or was it high? Was it a higher
I think
figure?
it was higher than that. I think
Yeah,
it was, it was a very high number.
And how many people were going to be retiring as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that was interesting to sort of like see that, you know, in black and white, and sort of like the challenges that the industry. So the sort of like, you know, the business, the skills that we all need, which we all know, but how we've got to get on with it. But
yeah, I guess this is a good. I mean, I'm gonna ram in my opinion on that, which is that we say we need to recruit these people to the industry. All of our members of the Rail Innovation Group have these skills within their company. It's just that they're counted as digital suppliers. They're not counted as the industry. So I think it's a better picture if you reframe who works within rail. And I'll continue saying that every opportunity I get, is that we have an artificial barrier between the people in rail, effectively salaried, and the people who are contributing to rail within the supply chain, particularly the startups.
So who are our startups that are contributing to this positive message then, Liam?
I could list all the ones who are there, but I'd have to look on my phone to remind myself because there were so many. Crosstech. We had One Big Circle. We had Tended. We had Atmo. We had Data Wharf. We had our huge member, Schleiten Bachmann. We had Infinitive Group, who actually hosted a lovely drinks for us on Tuesday. Slightly too many beers there, probably. Just name checking. I'm going to check my phone to make sure I've given credit to all the members that were there. But talk amongst yourselves while I do that. Oh, we did bump into John Lawrence and his son, who's pushing into the industry now.
So I didn't quite catch that one.
It was John Lawrence from JPL who brought his son along to try and get him into rail as well.
And of course, Liam, you've got my business, Future Travel Studio. Were you there?
I thought I would give you the opportunity. Well, actually, I was going to follow up because about
with
5 minutes ago, you said deals were done. So I'd like to know which deals are done.
I couldn't possibly say, but I mean, I think it was just about the networking, and obviously Future Travel Studio with the first of a kind grant funding that we got for creating and building Dream Suite, our new product for long distance and night trains, launched last week at Alstom, and so we were going out. So we were there meeting with various suppliers, manufacturers, operators, and that to promote our product. But I think at the moment, all I can say is watch this space. But we've had positive engagement in InnoTrans. We've had really good press, and hopefully we will be going forward with the product. But that's all I can say at the moment, because there's a lot to do. As we know,
so a relevant question following up is, given that it was InnoTrans and international, manufacturers from around the world, did you find the conversations easier with either sort of, let's say, European manufacturers versus Asian manufacturers? Was the approach to small suppliers different depending on where the company was based?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, because as a business, we've got good, considering how small we are, we've got good reach. But I think that's just because maybe we're good networkers, because we, as a business, we do work in more than just the UK market. But I think the really useful thing was that we didn't have many connections in Asia, and we made some of those connections. So that is, because that is really the thing about it, is that everybody is there. So whilst you might be able to do some of this from the UK, just coming here, even if you're just meeting with people that you would be able to engage with in the UK, just is a whole lot easier because everybody is here. That is the thing. And the fact that you can orchestrate, and even though you might not have something set up, it's easier to get into, I'm going to say, into somebody's face. Because sometimes when you're sending emails or calling them, when you're small and you're a startup, you're just not on their priority list. Whereas when you're here, it's a lot harder to say no to you when you're in their face.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of, just going back to before the summer, we did our international opportunity thought piece. That was one of the things, is get out and go to trade fairs. You can find the people.
Yeah, and but that in itself, as we know, is quite expensive, because it's not a cheap endeavor coming to InnoTrans. And one of the things that particularly your startup that, I think is probably useful advice is you don't, if you have something to demonstrate, it probably is nice to have a stand, but you don't have to have a stand to make those connections. And going back to the support from UK government, I know the Department for International Trade are really good at supporting that. And, for people that are maybe thinking about already till 2026, is that they will support you, whether it be the DIT or it be Innovate UK, they will support you in setting up those meetings and making sure that you make those connections. So use them, because that's what they're there for, and they're very good at doing that.
Yeah, agreed. And I spoke to a few to a few much smaller players who weren't, who, as you say, Johannah, didn't necessarily have stands, and had stands previously and not found them as valuable, actually, because they were sort of static in one place waiting for people to come to them. Whereas actually it's quite useful just to be able to kind of wander around. There's such an enormous array of people that you can go off and talk to. Actually having a stand, you can be quite sort of stuck in one place, really. Whereas actually if you've got the ability to be able to just wander around and talk to people and talk about your business and what you can offer, then that's actually really, really useful.
What have we learned that we will follow up on to improve for our organisation?
Well, I was thinking I thought actually, just after having reflected on what we were just talking about generally, that it'd be nice to do a little Rail Innovation Group blog about our experience that can keep the conversations going, so we can post it up on our website. So I will offer something up on that. And also,
that sounds like you've taken an action.
I've taken an action, yes. Before, but I got in quick before I was given an action. And also it was good to talk to some of our members about the skills, as you say, the skills, the diversity of skills, small voices project that we're going to be doing. So I've kind of had some more thoughts on that. So the survey to our members for that will be going out in the next couple of weeks. So it was useful to chat to that and just warm some people up to kind of expect that, and who they might want to talk to within their businesses to get the best out of that, really.
And this is again about the skills, going back to that.
Yes, it's about the skills, diversity, skills, and what kind of broad range of resources really are in some of the smaller companies.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point to make, because I think when we were sat at the Hitachi stand and having an informal conversation, I think that was really interesting with the guy we were talking to, where he just said, why would I do this myself when this little company can do it for me much more efficiently and quicker than I could ever do it? And I think that's something to say about, the skills, and also, just the value that some of our members and small businesses can offer to the industry. We can do it more efficiently. We can do it cheaper and save time for the industry.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, very much. And that's the message we want to continue advocating. They can already do it. They've already built this technology. Let's buy from small suppliers who can help creativity and diversity within the industry.
Absolutely.
Good message to end on.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to one little thing on sort of like just going back to the original question about what we learned and what we're going to go forward, because as went out in our last newsletter, we're going to be starting a new podcast series, which I'm leading on, how to be a startup in rail. So we're going to be starting that in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be reaching out to people to be part of that. But I think one of the things that, because obviously I spoke to the DIT about participating in that series, but also as part of that doing quite a big piece around not just about how they can support, but also some top tips on how to use exhibitions and these international trade shows to grow your reach and win business. I think that's going to be a thing that we should be focused, part of that focus as well.
Yes.
Yep.
On that, we are fresh from this. We'll be going to Rail Live in Zaragoza in November. So probably less the rest of the year there. Maybe some nice Spanish wine.
As opposed to German beer and sausages.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a 2-year break from pretzels.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have a lifelong break from them.
Right. Well, I have spent plenty of time with you two this week, so I'm gonna let's have a little break from each other now.
Okay.
I know.
We
We'll get that blog out, won't we?
We will.
Take
When
care.
we'll recap.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of What Moves Us. We hope we moved you. For more episodes, you'll definitely want to subscribe to our channel.
Till next time.